What's the harsh reality no one accepts? Bad things will happen to you for no reason. I always liked the Star Trek quote, "It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose." That is not a weakness. That is life. For that reason, some things just happen and that's the way it is. Some parents just don't love their children. I was reading an article about 10 things therapists don't tell you. And one of them was that many parents admit they don't love their children. This one scares me. Edit. Found the article. Not the most scientific. Best Liffey online as to why it scares me. When my son was born he was more a stranger in my house. And it was not a love at first sight. I was happy to some extent, but never felt like you see in movies. I talked with therapist and be reading about it here and there. Not uncommon for dads to have to work on bonding with newborns. Son is now 10 months and much improved on bonding. But you always kind of judge how you initially reacted and if that's who you really are, etc. Beauty matters in how people treat people. As an average looking guy with amazingly photogenic kids, I get told a lot that I must have a beautiful wife. My daughter used to get free stuff all the time from shopkeepers etc. Wow, she is so cute. Can I give her a sweet etc. Really opened my eyes. Absolute strangers would offer her small gifts all the time. You don't always keep the good friends you meet. But that doesn't mean you can't make more later on down the road. Edit. Thanks for my very first platinum, gold and the silver. You guys are awesome. From the BoJack Horseman finale, and something I've realized and made peace with. I think there are people that help you become the person that you end up being, and you can be grateful for them, even if they were never meant to be in your life forever. Some people just can't be saved. You could give them every benefit in the world, and they still could choose to throw it all away, and you can't do anything about it. This is a tough lesson to learn. People have to want to change. Nothing you can do can make people change if they are resistant to it. Very few people truly accept their mortality, and most of the time when it truly sinks in, people get scared and want to avoid it. Chiz keeps me up at night sometimes with a dread swelling in my stomach. Edit. And just like that my fears have become my most upvoted post. This world. Mistakes do define you. The little ones don't, but if you make a big mistake, it will alter your life to an extent. Saying that they don't matter is a lie that will prevent you from diagnosing life problems later down the line. This is something I wrestle with a lot in terms of my recovery from alcoholism. I quit young, at 24, and have been sober 7 years without relapse. Despite that accomplishment, I have alcoholic neuropathy, nerve damage, that will never go away, no matter how long I'm sober. First impressions are a very ducking big deal. They can be. My partner is on the road a lot for his job. This particular week he was away with one of the big bosses of the company. Everyone in the office knew the big boss was traveling with my partner in the car. My partner got a call from a customer and had to ring the office to finalize the sale all via the car kit. Office guy picks up the phone. "Yeah, what do you want?" in a super uninterested and gruff voice. Needless to say, he left a lasting impression. Seems like it's not that important, but in a workplace that kind of thing stands out. Money and good looks matter, and if you don't have enough good looks, just add money. Hard work doesn't always pay off. Something I learned my first week in the corporate world, and again even up until all the coronavirus layoffs. A non-executive's value to the company is strictly dictated by which side of the balance sheet their compensation falls. Pain is inescapable. Not even acknowledging that pain is inevitable and preparing for it ahead of time can lessen it. You will be taken by surprise, you will be hurt, you will not enjoy it, you will not be able to numb it, and there is nothing you can do except take it on the chin. Edit. I guess I should add, it's true you can prepare yourself to experience certain kinds of pain and lessen its impact, but when I said this, I meant that eventually something was going to come up that you never prepared for and cause pain anyway. Just didn't do a good job of making that clear. Sorry. Oh, and yes, pain can also bring about growth. I don't disagree with that at all. I'm reminded of an iconic quote from Robert Heinlein's Stranger in a Strange Land, and I paraphrase, "I have discovered why humans laugh. Not because there is a levity, but because there is a wrongness." Humans laugh because something is wrong. Some people just don't get a happy ending. Some people never find happiness or satisfaction. People tell you that there is light at the end of the tunnel, but for some people there isn't. They never get to see any light, just darkness. Yeah, I once lived with someone like that. She was in her 70s/80s, and I rented a room in her house for a few months. She was truly miserable. She told me about how she grew up in Turkey with an absent father and abusive alcoholic mother. She told me how she escaped her overbearing family by marrying an Indian diplomat. Then how her husband abused her for years. She was missing teeth because of it. Then when her family moved to Canada, how she worked 4 years for her husband and kids with no thanks. By the time I moved in with her, she was all alone, living in low-income housing, yelling at her kids on the phone once a week about how they are terrible children who never visit, and ranting to me about how terrible her life had been, and how many regrets she had. She was an awful person to be around, but it was clear she had lived a life full of suffering. That I don't care that you broke your elbow. Or duck, I can't believe you've done this. Not everyone is going to like you, no matter how hard you try. Do I need to be liked? Absolutely not. I like to be liked. I enjoy being liked. I have to be liked, but it's not like this compulsive need to be liked, like my need to be praised. All human beings are capable of being viciously immoral. There's a point where we can be forced or force ourselves to become completely animalistic. We can perpetrate murder and genocide as just one example, and if justified to ourselves correctly, we will feel no remorse. We like to think that the only people capable of such horror are a minority, but the truth is that we are all capable of it given the right circumstances. There is a Star Trek film that deals with this. Nemesis. Basically a clone of one of the virtuous characters shows up hellbent on destroying humanity. The captain pleads with him at one point saying that the man he is couldn't possibly do the things he is. He is better than that. His blood is better than that. The villain responds he is what his life has made him. There are no single women in your area willing to meet you. Those dastards lead to me. You will likely be lost to history. In just a few centuries, nobody will remember or even knew you existed. Sad, I know, but you just have to accept it. Just make sure to dab or do a handstand or something dumb when a volcano goes off to give archaeologists a good laugh a couple hundred or so years later. There is no possible way everyone was kung fu fighting, nor was there a chance they could kick as fast as lightning. People refuse to accept that this is a reality. Lots of time and money is spent cushioning that blow. We live here. We live now. Best get used to it. People have resorted to choosing reality. It's more convenient for them. We are not all special. Some of us will not find love. We are not all equal. Change never to not, and that's a fine haiku. The world goes on after you die. The world went on before you were born. Us first world citizens have it much better than we think we have it. A while back there was an AskReddit about what are some shocking truths or something along those lines. Paraphrasing one that really stuck with me, people in first world countries defecate in cleaner water than most others in the world drink. Nobody is truly selfless, and that's okay. There's a guy named Robin Hanson who's an interesting thinker, and he's co-authored a book called The Elephant in the Brain about the hidden motives in our daily lives. The book says exactly what you say, but Hanson doesn't seem to find that depressing or disheartening. As far as I remember, he put it like this: humans don't look that bad when compared to other animals. The only way we look bad is when we compare ourselves to the angels we pretend to be. People often hunger for truth, but seldom like the taste of it served up George R.R. Martin. Because more often than not, they are looking for an answer that comforts them from a fear that they have. But when they get hit with a reality check, their fears are confirmed, which makes them sadder and more anxious. If Shrek 5 happens, it's going to be a chisty cash grab, and Shrek is probably going to do the floss. Please don't say things like this. I don't want to think about it. This is a harsh reality I can't accept. That it's more likely to succeed if born rich than if you born talented. Edit. Here is the source. As someone who grew up wealthy and was supported by parents until age 20, I have to agree with this. Of course people work hard to get to where they are, but having a safety net helps, as does early advantages like being in extracurriculars, good schools, etc. I don't know who most of you are, and it'll be like that forever. Therefore there will always be someone who doesn't care about you whatsoever. Most people will be completely forgotten within the next 100 to 200 years. No conscious thought about them, no mention of their name ever again, for eternity. Very late, but sometimes you are the problem in a relationship. And if people keep on leaving you, it may well be your fault. Even if you don't feel like it is. Edit. I'm so glad my first ever award and my highest upvoted comment is about something not totally ridiculous. Thanks guys. Yes, a lot of yes. People fantasize about finding the one, but a relationship is 50% finding the right person, and 50% being the right person. Reddit is an echo chamber, and just because a belief is popular here does not mean it is in real life. Edit. Reminder, you should sort this topic by controversial. This should be on the header across all of Reddit as a reminder. There is no karma. Bad things happen to good people. Bad people do bad things that never catch up to them. Good people do good things that screw them over in the long run. It's all random. There is no karma, then what the hell am I spending so much time on Reddit for? Sometimes you must accept the truth that there always will be idiots who will duck it up for rest of us. And sometimes that idiot will be you. There could be a gamma ray burst coming from deep space to fry our entire planet within a second, and we'd have no way of knowing it. Have a good night fellas. Sigh of relief, endless possibilities. Pandemics last years, not weeks or months. To add on to this, flattening the curve wasn't about reducing the total number of infection cases, it was to slow down the rate and distribute it out over a longer period of time. The current precautions we are taking are to allow hospitals to not be overwhelmed with many cases at once, not to completely prevent us from catching the virus. You're the bad guy in some own story, so many of your enemies will never admit to doing anything wrong, but the thing is, neither will you in some situations. People justify their own behavior to themselves. That's why so many people can't apologize and double down on the chisty things they do. Alternatively, some people do things that aren't chisty but are perceived as chisty by another party. Sometimes values don't line up, and both parties can be correct in their own way. People can just simply fall out of love with you for no reason. You fretting about whether it's you or something else, or the investment is basically you giving them the reasons to strengthen the reason why they stopped loving you, when they could very much not have a reason at all. Feelings and priorities can change. More people need to understand the difference between lust and love. Lots of young people think they love their so, but it's really just lust. It takes hard emotions sometimes to figure out who you truly love. Like how some people don't become religious until someone they truly cared about dies. A friend of mine did something really dumb once and ended up in the hospital for 2 days. When he finally woke up, to his surprise his girlfriend was there and was the only one there. Turns out she knew something was up when he wasn't answering the phone. She found him at his apartment and called 911 and took off work for the next 2 days to stay with him in the hospital until he woke up. As you can imagine, the emotions of hearing that in person hit him hard, and that's when he found out how much he loved her. It's like how people become best friends after surviving something very difficult together. Yet most people today never get close to death, and people are simply friends because they were neighbors, perhaps. People like to be lied to. They don't like finding out they've been lied to. Beware, that statement does not apply on everybody. I'd rather be told the hard truth than a lie, and I found some people who actually do that, and I value them a lot. Pikachu is a slave, which is crazy to me. If united, the Pokemon could easily kill every single human on Earth. The world doesn't owe you anything. Not if you've suffered all your life, or even if you were the greatest person to live. Simultaneously, we didn't choose to be born into this world, so we don't owe the world anything. There's a group of people out there in the world that would be very happy to see you every day and love you and accept you for exactly who you are. You'll probably just never meet them. Don't ducking lie to us like that. No one but you and your loved ones gives a chiz about your problems, and no one is obligated to give a chiz about them. Hell, I don't give a chiz about my own problems. That seems to help. That it's really not butter. Duck you. It is butter. You aren't actually that talented. Excuse me, I'll have you know I can rap the fast part of rap god. The male G-spot isn't the anus. Bro, that reality isn't harsh at all. I welcome this reality. You can't be anything you want to be. I want to be a Reddit commenter. Everybody is born different, treated different, and will live different. There is no equality in society and there will never be. You are not perfect, no matter how much you try. You will make mistakes, and you will learn from them. Not admitting to those mistakes makes you a wreck to other people, and they will look down on you. Nothing is fair. Some are born rich. Some are born in poverty. But you can change that throughout your life. It's in your hands. Money buys happiness. It will fix 99% of your problems. It will make you happy, but it will depend on how you use it. Money is power. The rich can do almost anything. The sky's the limit. If you are born rich, you are born in power. I really hate people who says money doesn't make you happy. Well, that ducking depends. Have you been so poor that you had to choose which days you ate food and not, so you could pay rent or utilities, and not end up on the street? I have both had, and not had money. Seeing that the period when money was really tight, more like non-existent, only brought me down to a level of constant suicide thoughts and some half-eat attempts. I very much prefer having money like I do now. It has made me be a lot happier overall. Not everyone will turn out to be a superstar or super successful in their life's beauty and money matter it. The world is nicer to rich and beautiful people. And who knows, maybe the most boring jobs seem like the least painful. We all benefit, in one way or another, from others who are oppressed. Right on. There are millions right now that are suffering and all they can do to comfort themselves is think, at least I'm not as bad off as so and so. Your government does not have your best interest at heart. Get involved in local politics, go to city hall meetings and realize that everything in your hometown is decided largely by out of touch retirees. Get your friends to come and speak up too, and ducking vote on FFS. Very few of us will earn the sorts of positions to affect change on a federal level, but at least in local politics you can make yourself heard, and your vote might actually carry some weight in your own community, where it arguably matters most too. At any time a giant space rock could come duck arches up. At this point it'd probably just be all like, well, duck that. Life goes on. It sounds silly compared to all the heavy stuff in this thread, but I just went through an awful breakup, and I've started to realize that life goes on in a very profound and meaningful way. Nothing stays the same forever. We're always moving forward, even if you desperately want to stay still. No one is as important as they think they are. There is no meaning of life. Rather, you make your own meaning. We're all going to be forgotten someday, even the most famous of us, so just do what makes you happy and feel fulfilled. This question is catnip for the antisocial edgelord teens of Reddit. Deleted. Not everyone finds love, but one day I can buy a cat and force my love on it. This thread is filled with harsh realities that most people do accept. Britney Spears is a slave to the music industry, and so are most popular singers. I'm gonna wonder for the rest of my life what the duck is going on with her right now. Is she being held captive against her will? I worry about her and think about her sometimes. You wasted more time on Reddit than you should. That we are going to be physical distancing for the next year or more. Edit. Physical distancing doesn't mean shelter in place. It means no handshakes, no hugs, staying 6 feet apart, etc. Society will get back up to speed in 6 months or so. For most of us, what we do barely has an impact anymore. We're not heroes, we don't lead overly important lives, and many of our jobs and roles in society can be filled by someone else. That's how it is nowadays, and why it's so hard to succeed. Hey man, speak for yourself. You haven't seen what my undead rogue can do. Most people don't give a rat's about you. Like 99% of people don't know I exist. Nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. And everyone is going to die. Oof. I think I'm just gonna go watch some TV. Some people are just inherently bad people that are never going to change. Some people are capable of becoming a better person. Some aren't. The market should be very down right now. Yeah, this is weird. There is a chance that we feel every painful incision and sensation during surgery, but simply do not remember once we awake. And sometimes you do. Don't Google this if you have an operation imminent. Oligarchs own America. This thread is full of stuff that's just people don't think about and talk about it all the effing time. They know the reality. They accept it. They just don't let their lives be ruled by it. Most answers really missed the point of this question, which is a shame because it had great potential. Pubic hair. If you hate it so much, then give it to me. Preferably in a Ziploc bag. That the world is run by psychopaths who often partake in Luciferianism and SRA. Corona doesn't originate from 5G tower. That they just lost the game. Damn it. Oh my. You watched until the end? That's fucking awesome, dude. Thanks for watching.